Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to webinar number 1 from Dolezal Consulting. We're very excited to be presenting on a topic dear to my heart this afternoon, and it's why your email marketing is failing and how to fix it. Now, I have a lovely team of supporters with me this afternoon. If you haven't been able to submit questions via the Google Forms that are embedded in the foot of the joining page, then please just hit reply in your joining email and let us know any questions. Anything that we don't cover today, I'm happy to cover in an email separately to you later on. Okay, so without much further ado, I think we'll dive in. So, program for this afternoon should take us about 30 minutes. I appreciate that a Monday afternoon for many of you is a busy time, so thanks for making the time to join us. Now, one of the biggest problems that businesses have with their email marketing is that they start in the wrong place. And it's a common error. We've all done it. You've got so much that you want to say that you just focus on what's going to go into that email that you're sending out. But actually, you need to start right at the beginning. And that's how are you going to gather together good quality contact data that you are allowed to use? And then how are you going to build insights and an understanding of those people so that the email that your campaign's sending out to them are things that they really want to receive, and not just talking about you and what you've all been up to. Okay, so we're going to cover how you build your mailing lists in an ethical manner, because if you want to stay the right side of the law, then you do need to be ethical in the way that you gather data. How do you find out about what your contacts are interested in? Because that will help you shape and modify the content of your campaigns over time. How are segments used, and maybe where do buyer personas fit into email marketing? It might be something that you're already using, that you may have them very well developed, and every time you sit down to create any piece of content, you have a certain avatar or buyer persona in mind, but perhaps you're not quite ready yet. Maybe you're still at the beginning of your journey. So we'll touch on those a little bit today. And then finally, what are the upsides and the downsides to personalization? Now, we'll end today's session with a quick Q&A, and then I will let you carry on with the rest of your afternoons. But thank you so much for joining us today. So who am I? Well, my name is Joanne Dolezal. I've been a marketing consultant for the last 7 years, and before that, I worked in various marketing and enterprise roles. I teach digital marketing. I run regular workshops in Newcastle on content marketing, email marketing, and social media. But at heart, I'm a consultant. I'm a marketing consultant. I like working with businesses to help them really crack how they're going to make marketing, help them achieve their long-term goals as a business. And over the years, I've helped a number of businesses to get started with their email marketing. So why do we value it so highly? Well, if I was to tell you that for every pound you spend on email marketing, you're going to get a return of £40 or more, that might just get your attention. In fact, a really nice report that was put together by Wolfgang Jägel, the link is in the slide here. He did a deep piece of research in 2014 on how email is used worldwide, and it came up with some fairly staggering statistics, including the number of people that have email accounts and use email regularly, either for their personal purchases or their business purchases. So 95% of online consumers use email. In fact, many of us have bought from email. We regularly buy from email campaigns and prompts, or perhaps it provokes you to go and visit the store in person. Email marketing, UK brand marketers say, is mostly for retention. So actually, this isn't just how you're going to get customers, it's how you're going to keep them, how you're going to keep people on your list. And 91% of consumers check their email once a day. So you have a pretty good chance of getting somebody's attention on a regular basis. So what do you need to get started? So it's still one of the best conversion tools around. But if you don't have a valid email address for the person that you wish to contact, and ideally, in addition to that, a first name and maybe even a last name, then it's very, very difficult to get started. You need a first name if you want to address them by name. If you do want to embed any kind of personalization into your campaigns, then you will need a first name. But also just to help you to manage the volume of data, people with the same first name, same first and second name. So if you have a little bit of data on them, that's great. But you also need some information about them, because otherwise, how are you going to make your campaigns relevant to them? So email marketing, what does it cover? Well, surprisingly enough, an email marketing campaign can be carried out just as easily from Outlook or Mail or your the email the email software that you use on your computer. Although most of us would think of it as using some piece of email marketing software, something like Constant Contact or MailChimp, so that you can send bulk email to a group of people. So you're sending the same email campaign to a group of people. So why do you use it? Well, mostly it's because you know that you have the opportunity to get into somebody's inbox, and therefore you've got the chance to get their attention on that particular day, that particular time of day. But it has been abused over the years. I'd say the last 5 to 8 years, email marketing has gone through a bit of a renaissance. But I'd say the early 2000s were characterized by a lot of bulk email, very spammy, that the people didn't really want to open. But I think we've become a lot more sophisticated with our email marketing since the advent of content marketing, and this idea of really trying to get as close in your marketing to what the customer is asking for, the questions that they have, the needs they have, the desires they have. So where does it fit in with other online or offline marketing? Well, it's often the call to action, to email or to drop an email to somebody. And it's also how a lot of your email data will be gathered. But you have to be careful because it is known as permission-based marketing, as is mobile marketing, for example. So you need to have the permission to email somebody. They need to have shared their email address with you willingly, either through a single or a double opt-in. So this is why often when you sign up to somebody's mailing list, an email will be sent to you and asking you to confirm that you want to be added to that list. But it's also a really great way of checking that the email address exists and that there are no typos or keystroke errors when that has been entered. Because this is one of the biggest issues with email marketing. Funnily enough, it's keystroke error. It's either you or the contact entering their details incorrectly, and then you find that you can't use that email address because it doesn't appear to exist. So people need to be allowed to opt in and opt out of every single campaign that you send, permission-based marketing. But your list can become one of your biggest assets. And in fact, a lot of marketers would say that the money's in the list. And so a lot of them will design their marketing online and offline in order to grow as big a list as possible, but as relevant and as targeted a list as possible. Okay. So what we need to be aware of course, is the dreaded spam. Spam is a bad thing, really, really bad thing, particularly if you're using any sort of third-party software, email marketing software. At the mere hint of spam, your account could be suspended and your wrists thoroughly slapped. It can be a massive problem. So what is spam? Okay, well, it's bulk email, unsolicited email as well. It's basically people didn't want to hear from you in the first place. They didn't sign up to your mailing list. and they don't really understand why you're emailing them. But often it's also because the content of that email is either inappropriate or it's irrelevant to them. So spam is something to be avoided. So unsolicited email is quite normal email. You know, you could send a one-to-one email to another person, but if they've never heard of you, they don't recognize your name or your company name, they may classify it as unsolicited. It's the kind of thing that we get on LinkedIn, for example, using InMail. You might get unsolicited email from people who are trying to develop business with you in some way. So examples of unsolicited email could be first contact inquiries, or it could be sales inquiries, or even job inquiries. Bulk email is normal email, but the examples there would be something like subscriber newsletters, customer communications, where the same message, by and large, the content is exactly the same. The same message is being sent to one or more people at one time. It's one or more. So you could send the same message to two people, and if they both felt that that was unsolicited and it was spam, then they could accuse you of spam. And in the eyes of the law, that would stick. So a message to be spam is both unsolicited and bulk. Now, why am I spending some time on this? Well, this is where you get into hot water if you've either bought data in the past or somebody has very kindly let you use a mailing list in their possession. You may not have permission to email those people. Also, the data may be really old. There may be a lot of keystroke errors within the database. And if you put that data, if you upload it into any email marketing software, if you get a few people saying that it was spam, then your account will be suspended pending an investigation. And you may never get access to your account again. So it's not worth the risk, really. So this is why spam is important. This is what is to be avoided. But it's in the eye of the beholder. Sorry, having fun with the mouse here. Spam is in the eye of the beholder. So and this is a little bit difficult, really, because you could actually have gathered somebody's email data ethically. They did sign up to a list, but because they can't remember opting in, they may still accuse you of spamming them. But there are a few ways around that, and we'll cover those in this presentation today. So if they're unfamiliar with you, or the content is irrelevant to them, then this is when you may be accused of spam. Okay. So how can you build your mailing list legally, ethically? Well, I would suggest that the answer to that is kind of brick by brick. If you do it gradually, if you do it over time, then you stand a far greater chance of connecting with people who you have actually encountered in some way before. Perhaps you've met at a trade show, or people have signed up to a campaign that you've been running. They know how they got on your list. They won't feel angry when they're receiving campaigns from you. So bit by bit and brick by brick, rather than purchasing contact data or using other people's data. Having said that, there are ways of accessing other people's mailing lists. So, for example, somebody could do a sponsored campaign for you that they would send to their mailing list, and then on the back of that, people can opt into your list. And that can be a really good way of accessing another organization's contact data. So the bigger the list, the greater the success, because obviously you're looking at the number of people that you can convert to taking an action that you would like them to perform. But you also need to think about the quality of that data over quantity. Now, you might have a list of 200 or 300 people, but you know them all. They've all bought from you. They've been really happy with the experience. And every time you go back to them, they will buy again and again and again. Those 300 are worth 10,000 that you've got from, other questionable sources, or even people who've perhaps entered a competition at some stage online. and they're not as engaged with you or with your business. So really that quality thing is important, but also the way that you gather data can often affect the way that people feel about you, how warmly they feel towards you. So if somebody doesn't remember you, you're into their they make or scientist or promotion running, and there was benefit to them, they got something out of it, then they're much more likely to feel happy about being on your list. About how these regulations apply, you must allow people to opt in, you must allow them to opt out of every single campaign. It must always be possible to unsubscribe and stay on the right side of the law. So various data collection methods online. Well, you can have it could So top of the pops is just asking somebody for their email address. And you'll probably find that if you're asking for their first name and then their email address, then maybe 2/3 of people will give you that information. But none of us like filling in long forms online, especially when it's our first encounter with a business or a brand. It's like, why do you want all of this information on me? What are you planning on doing with it? More to the point, who are you planning on sharing it with? So we don't naturally trust it. Further down the line, you'll get the opportunity either by asking people directly, giving them a chance to indicate their preferences for the kind of information they want from you, the kind of campaigns, or segmenting them through their behavior to build a bigger picture of them. But this is the very first way of building up your mailing list. And less than 10% of subscribes happen on the homepage. So actually, if you are not giving people opportunities to subscribe further into your website and on other pages within your website, then you may well be missing a trick. Other methods of gathering data online, well, you might have a contact form, so people can email you with an inquiry through your website. Purchase data, customer purchase data, things that people have bought online from you, lead magnets, or even competitions. Social media competitions have been a very good way of building your list in the past, although changes within Facebook and recent changes within some of the other platforms mean that it's becoming more and more expensive to access any volume of people. So you just have to consider what the cost of acquisition is per contact. Okay, and then thinking about data collection offline, which is how many of us are going to start building our list in the first place. So within your business, you're going to have a lot of data. You'll have emails that you've exchanged with people, the accounts team might have information on them, and you're gradually building a picture. Like a few people I've worked with, you may even have a sizable collection of business cards that have never actually been transcribed into an Excel spreadsheet and uploaded into anything. And those people have never been communicated with. So, if that's you, don't feel bad. You're not alone. There are thousands of businesses like you, but it's never too late to start with email marketing. But really, if contact data is sitting within an email, or it's sitting within an Excel spreadsheet, or it's sitting on a piece of paper, and it isn't somewhere within your email marketing system, then it's a completely wasted opportunity. So if you're going to take anything away from today, maybe it's that you go and do a bit of a hunt, a bit of a scour, an audit, and see how much data you have and how much of it you feel, based on the information from today's presentation, you feel you have permission to use, or perhaps you can contact those people and ask would they like to be added to your mailing list. You'd be amazed how much data you already have on people. So other departments within the business, however big your business is, so you may want to be talking to the customer care team, the service team, the sales team, and account managers will have not only contact data, but they will also be able to fill in the picture about who those people are. What questions do they ask? What problems are they facing at the moment? What are they talking to us about right now? What solution are we hoping to provide them with? Because this is how later on you're going to start to build your insights into who that kind of customer is. Trade shows and conferences are a fabulous opportunity for building your lists, gathering data. But just a little word of warning there. We all know that the contacts we meet through networking, unless we've had a good conversation with them and exchanged some information, those tend to be quite cool. They can be the hardest to convert into any kind of real sales. So I just wanted to mention at this point that for those of you who are joining us on the webinar today, don't worry too much about taking notes. We will be sharing the recording afterwards. You can come back in at any stage in the next 14 days and look at this again. But also we have a little freebie that we'll be sending out that just kind of summarizes some of the key points, the good and the bad of data capture. So that's a freebie called How to Build Your Lists and Keep Them Clean. And that will come to you tomorrow, so just check your inbox for that. Okay, so the value of getting intimate. So this is really the other half of today's talk is about customer intimacy. It's great. You've started to build your list. You have maybe a few hundred people now, but you don't really know very much more about them. You don't know what they have in common. They may be at different stages in that relationship with you. They may already be customers, or they may be people who are in your pipeline. So thinking about how you can separate people out, maybe segment them or develop personas, gives you the chance to send them things that are really relevant to them. If I've been a customer of yours for 5 years, I don't want you to put me through some kind of onboarding automated email system. It's almost like, have you forgotten me? Do you not remember our working relationship? So think a little bit about where people are in that kind of relationship to you as well. Relevancy is really important. The more relevant your emails are to them, the more likely you are of converting them either to sales or to some other action that you want them to take within that email. So think about it. It's retention. It's people not leaving your list because the stuff you've sent them is irrelevant. And it's also your opportunity to get some monetary value out of those contacts. So one size does not fit all in terms of email marketing, as in any other kind of marketing. So you may want to find some way of grouping people together who are on your list. They'll have some commonality between them. If you're looking at B2C segmentation, you might be looking at demographics. Certainly if you were working direct marketing, you'd be looking at demographics. But say you were a travel business, you might want to be looking at their life cycle. Are these first-time parents? Are they empty nesters? What kind of holiday are they going to want? If they just got married, they'll be looking for a honeymoon. They won't be looking for a family holiday necessarily. So think about where people are in their life cycle as well. Business to business, traditionally, you might have categorized people into things like suspect, prospect, customer, all of this kind of terminology. You may also decide who's the decision maker within a business, and they might get slightly different information to the person who is perhaps going to be the user. It doesn't matter what system you have, as long as it is meaningful to you, okay? So you can create any system you like. You can categorize people in any way you like, as long as it's full, and it means that you send stuff to them that's meaningful to them. And I've worked with people who've had some lovely, very individual categories for the people on their mailing list, and that's absolutely fine. But a little, one of the challenges of segmentation is that we don't always know the full picture about people. We know the little bit of information that we have. So we know how they've interacted with an email that we've sent out. We know what they've clicked on. They've expressed a kind of interest by doing that, but we don't always have that full picture. Sending personalized content can also be terrifically valuable. But if you get it wrong, and I've got a couple of lovely examples for you in a moment, when you get it wrong, it's just the most epic fail. So, thinking about how you're going to segment your database and create meaningful campaigns is really important. So how do you gather information about these people? Well, ideally, you're working with your customers, you know them, you know they're signing up to your list, you've met them somewhere, you've had a chance to chat a little bit, find out what they're interested in, find out why they're interested in talking to you. But you may just have a purely online relationship with them. They may be people who've signed up via an offer or an opportunity on your website. Perhaps they've downloaded something, but that's all you know about them. You know one little thing that they were interested in. So one of the models that we use in email marketing is dynamic segmentation. Basically, when somebody signs up to your list, you see where they sign up, either on your website, the page they sign up on, it could be one of your services pages. That gives you an indication of what attracted them to you. Or it could be a particular piece of content that you're sharing with them. And then you see where they click within the email campaigns that you send. Now, if you're getting a little bit more sophisticated about this, what you will then have is follow-on campaigns that are ready for people who've just kind of voted with their mouse. They've clicked on a link, they're interested in something, and then there is other information to go out to them that's set up and ready for them. Okay, so it's just thinking about, you're looking at somebody's behavior, you're looking at how they've expressed a preference, and that's how you're segmenting them. So you need to see as well where people are opening, the kinds of campaigns that are being opened. So metrics will tell you a great deal about how well your campaigns are performing, how well those emails are working for you, maybe what you got right, what you got wrong. So you may find, if you haven't done any split testing yet, where you might test different subject lines, you might test different times of day, different days of the week with that same list, that you haven't yet had a chance to build a picture of the optimum time to send, or a better performing title for your email campaign. But the kinds of things that you're going to measure for those campaigns will be unique opens. So that isn't somebody who opened it multiple times. It's the unique opens, the clicks. What did they click on? What were they interested in? And then finally, conversions. Conversion in email marketing and conversion in content marketing isn't necessarily somebody bought something. They clicked to a sales page and bought. It's somebody who answered your call to action. They took the next step, whatever it was that you had set up for them. Okay, lovely. So moving on to buyer personas. So where do they fit in with email marketing? Well, buyer personas have been around for a little while. Some of you will be using them, some with great success. They take a little while to set up. It's something that we regularly use with clients. We regularly use them in our workshops as well. But it's a little bit more sophisticated than segmentation. It will give you a kind of pen portrait of a group or a grouping of the people that you're connected to, where they have things in common that are beyond their lifestyle or income bracket or educational levels or things like that. It's really what it boils down to a lot of the time is a shared set of goals. They have a shared challenge in common with each other, or maybe even a shared desired outcome. So, for example, if my marketing software isn't working for me, I have a need, I have a problem, and I'm looking for a solution. But if I'm planning my summer holiday with the family, that's not a problem. That's a really nice thing to do. So that's a desired outcome. So this is where you're looking for these kind of shared goals that people are trying to achieve. Further down the line with your buyer personas, you'll be looking at your value proposition as a business and seeing how you can best serve people with those goals and challenges. If you're interested in buyer personas, we will be doing a full webinar dedicated to buyer personas in the next couple of months. So how and when to personalize? Well, you need at least somebody's first name, and you need to know that they didn't spell it with a small d, as in David and his Nutella jar. This is often the problem, you see, because even if somebody's filled in the form on our website and they've signed up to our list, they may still have missed out some of that information. They may not have given you their name, or they may have had the caps lock on when they were putting it in. And so your personalization can look a bit shouty. It doesn't always work for you. So personalization within an email campaign will use a merge tag that is embedded within the campaign. And you can embed various kinds of information. Mostly we use a name. Often it's at the beginning of the campaign. But it can be much more sophisticated if it's perhaps 2/3 of the way through when somebody's mind is wandering a little bit and you want to get them back on track and paying attention. And so you get them to, perhaps you address them by name. I had a couple of very nice examples in my own inbox. So we have a dog. He has a kennel name. He is a miniature schnauzer. And I received a campaign which was just so beautifully personalized to me and us that I had to share it with you. They even got his kennel name right. So this is a really great example. This is a collaboration between Crufts and the Kennel Club. And I'm not interested in dog shows, but I might have gone to this one because it was such a great campaign and really, really well personalized, with maybe just 3 or 4 fields of data on me. It's very sophisticated. But when it doesn't, oh my God, is it bad? So I'm not Sarah. And they know that because they've got my email address. I'm not Sarah. And actually, she has a completely different tariff to me as well. So I'm sorry, O2, but it's -10 out of 10 for you. So remember, whatever the platform, if you can use personalization and a really great subject line, it does stand out for people. Segmentation allows you to get specific, the most relevant content and campaigns to the person receiving it. This is where you're always trying to get. And you know what? If it means that you're sending a campaign to a smaller and smaller list, but the conversion rate is going up, then that's win-win. Timings, now, always a question. It's always a question that we're asked about. What is the best time of day? What is the best day of the week? There are days to avoid. I think Friday, especially for B2B, doesn't seem to work terribly well. But this is something that you need to experiment with. And I know people who send their B2B emails at the weekend. I regularly get Chris Brogan's email on a Sunday morning, and I read it from cover to cover. So often it's about how much they like you and how interested they are in what you have to share. But think about your week, think about the peaks and flows in your week, your busiest times, and maybe don't send to people at their busiest times as well. Experimentation is really important. Test different treatments, test different photography, images, all sorts of things within your campaigns. Design, there's a trend in email marketing away from HTML design to plain text campaigns. And you know what? They're often much, much easier to read. They're a lot less cluttered. They tend to be much more on message, and they have the most phenomenal conversion rate. So don't feel that you have to invest in expensive email marketing software. You could just send some really, really good campaigns from Outlook or Mail. Recency is how recently somebody joined your list. And you know what? It's like in sales. When they first join it, they're really hot, they're interested. That's when you hit them with your best stuff. That's when you hit them perhaps with a series of emails that onboard them. Strong calls to action, and the more links, the better. And again, you'll often find in a well-structured campaign, people will link to the same thing in a variety of ways throughout the body of the text. Okay, so remember, don't send, certainly don't send from your email marketing software if you don't have permission, if you're not upfront about who you are, and if there's no physical address that they can come back to, or an email address even that they can come back to and say, I don't want to be on your list anymore, please take me off. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the session today. We've just got another couple of minutes. I'll address some of the questions that have been sent in. Thank you for those. So build your lists with care. These are your potential customers. You would choose those carefully. So build your lists in the same way and with the same mindset. The more relevant it is, the more targeted it is, the more likely they are to stay on your list, continue receiving your emails, and buy from you again and again and again. Remember, nearly 80% of email marketers are using it for retention. This is people they've already sold to. Get permission and segment. Don't try a one-size-fits-all. I know people with lists of 1,000 plus where everybody gets the same campaign, regardless of how long they've been on the list, how many times they bought from them. Be alert in that quest for customer data. Getting their contact data in the first place, any opportunity to get people on your email marketing list is a fantastic opportunity. And then aim to get as much information as you can about them, about what they're interested in and how they are interacting with every campaign that you send to them. What are they doing? Personalize with caution. Only personalize if you have really good databases to personalize from. And finally, know the law, because I'd hate you to get into any trouble at all. Okay, so we've had a couple of questions through, so I'm just going to address them now. The first one I have here is, how often should I send emails? I think in the beginning of a relationship, it's okay to send an email maybe almost every day. And you'll find that with a lot of people, they have a lot of businesses now will have a sort of onboarding process that they take you through. That's almost like a kind of introduction to the business. This is who we are. This is what we do. Or it might be something developed around a particular theme. So there might be a kind of mini course within there. I recently signed up for the Content Marketing Academy in Edinburgh, who have an excellent onboarding series of 10 emails that basically take you through a mini course on content marketing. I've done the same recently on how to write case studies, a 5-part, and that was a weekly campaign that was coming in. So I think it's really about how much you have to share. I think if you have a lot of good quality stuff to share, then you can email people regularly. But obviously don't bombard them with massive emails that are going to take them a long time to read. And if there's real value in the campaign, that should be the dictation about how frequently you send it. And then another good question we've had is, I have a database that's ready to send to, but I don't know where to start. Do you have any advice? Yes, I do. I would start with one of the nice user-friendly free versions of email marketing software. The one that we recommend to starters is MailChimp. It's a really nice user-friendly system. It has a very good free version. And, we used the free version for the first 5 years of Dolezal Consulting without any issues whatsoever. Once you get on board, it's a really, really sophisticated platform. And if you're interested in learning more, we actually run a workshop in Newcastle on introduction to email marketing in MailChimp that introduces you to every aspect of getting started with your email marketing that you could need. Okay, that's all the questions that we have for today, and that's all the time that we have for today. But if you'd like to know any more about what we do and what's coming up in the future, if you're on our list, if you joined our webinar today and received an email from us, you will be receiving the freebie automatically tomorrow. We'll be sending regular invitations to our future webinars. If you'd like to see a live training session or join a live training session, then there is a special offer in the landing page today. It's the best rate that we can offer for our live workshops. And we will be launching our bite-sized online courses this autumn. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today's webinar, and I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Goodbye.